What's going on, everyone? We're boys are back. Boys are back in town. Timmy, what's going on?
Hey, third time the charm on this. We're on fire.
We're on fire. We're gonna stay the franchise for Hermes. Hermes a tough season for him. Second in points for, and still somehow is in this lottery again, or was in the lottery before a big trade, which I'm sure will be brought up a few times here. But yeah, just always seems to be the most unlucky every single year.
Never really complains about it though. Some have complained about it. Hermes, not so much.
Yeah, you get the comments on the side, but it's never a full-on complaint, which you'd expect more from getting shit fucked that much, especially when your rival, as we saw in the last presentation, was eighth most points all time and somehow snuck into the top three for wins.
That's
Um,
tough.
but yeah, we can get right into it here with Hermes. So his history here, zero titles. Only one of the original owners without a championship. 66 and 107 all-time record, which would be good for the worst win percentage of all time at 38%. Um, Actually a big milestone for him, which I think he thought he had before just because of how like screwed he's gotten sometimes, but he finally surpassed Ryan in 2024 for most points against all time with 17,590 and then zero division titles. I'm so sorry, Hermes. Finished 5-9. Anything to say about his checkered past?
I didn't see this slide, so we're just dunking on him right now, huh?
This is the turnaround. This is the turnaround he needs.
Your podcast. All right. Well, Hermes, at least he's stuck around. And he's
Oh
tried to
yeah.
win no matter what.
And that's the thing. Hermes has always been a win now type mentality. He makes moves that he thinks is gonna benefit him for the season, and I think we'll talk about it again. I think we both will have high hopes for Hermes once again. So we'll see. He always gets off to those tough like 0-2, 0-3 starts. I always send out like the 0-2, 0-3 stats, and somehow he's been the majority of it. So maybe it's to Rashid's point where the schedule needs to be fixed. So that'll probably happen in a few years. All right. Why don't you take us off with the running backs?
All right. So we added a remaining contract here as one of our columns. So we got Jonathan Taylor. We both have him as a blue chip player. Josh Jacobs, he was green last year. We have him as an upgrade this year, purple and teal. David Montgomery, green last year. We basically have him as a green this year. And then Roshan Johnson and Marshawn Lloyd, two backup running backs. We'll see what happens with them, but yellow or black rating.
Yeah. Um, yeah, Jonathan Taylor, he's still that guy there. Obviously, I think he had a big season last year, and I think that offensive and their team wasn't that great last year, and he still produced for them. So I think they've made some upgrades on the offensive line, and they should be a little bit better. But I mean, they brought in, I think, a rookie in the fifth or sixth round, but nothing that's going to hinder his competition.
You figure
Um,
Danny Dimes has to help him, right?
oh yeah, I mean, I think it's Richard. I honestly do think it's Richardson if the season started today. But I don't know. I mean, it's not great either way.
Yeah.
So, but in that sense, though, they should be looking to get him the ball early and often and kind of keep the decision out of the quarterback's hands. So that's definitely a positive for him. And I'm still shocked that he is 26 years old. It feels like when I was like putting all these ages, I was expecting him to be like in the high 20s by now. Um, and then we got Jacobs, who, yeah, like you said, we both had basically green last year coming out of Vegas, and signing with Green Bay. I think we both had hopes for him, but I guess we tempered expectations a little bit. But he obviously was the man in that offense. I
Yeah.
was expecting Love, honestly, to be like spreading the ball out a little bit more, and maybe that's why we kind of held back a little bit. But they committed to the run game more than anything last year, which was obviously a good sight for Hermes. I mean, these have been his guys. I don't know, I can't remember exactly what year he was drafted, but um, I'm pretty sure Hermes drafted both these guys and they've held on to him since.
I feel like these are back to back drafts for him, right?
Mm.
Probably.
He realized that, I mean, even though he liked the guys he got, you'll go to your grave saying that Todd Gurley trade was fair. But after that trade, he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna hold on to these stud running backs.
Yeah, it's hard to get a trade done with Hermes nowadays.
Yeah. Um, but hey, well, you got it done, and um, yeah, it seems like he's more open to it and realizes he has to make some moves here to kind of shake up the team a little bit. Yeah, I think Montgomery will still have a decent season. They're not gonna just the way their offense is, they're not gonna commit to Gibbs 100%. It definitely
Yeah,
feels like Gibbs is taking over as the 1A, where maybe last year Montgomery was the 1A. But I still expect Montgomery to be like kind of their goal line back for the most part.
yeah, I agree with that. He's going to have playable weeks, and he's going to be a good fantasy asset for Hermes.
And then which one of Roshan and Marshawn do you think has a better chance of kind of taking over here? I guess by your ranking you go Roshan, but if you want to
It's
expand on
it's
it.
it's got to be Roshan, right? Because Marshawn's locked up behind Josh Jacobs. So to me, Roshan has a more open backfield in an ascending offense. I feel like
Yeah.
that's the way you got to go out of the two.
Yeah, I agree. Even like last year, every time like Josh Jacobs took a breath, and I was like, "Oh, this running back looks pretty good." Sometimes I thought it was Lloyd, but it ended up being Emmanuel Wilson a lot of the times. So he might even be the number three right now, Lloyd. And Roshan, yeah, I think he's obviously a bigger back than DeAndre Swift, so he could get some goal line work. And
Yeah,
who knows, maybe if everything comes to fruition for Ben Johnson's team, like Roshan ends up being that Montgomery style, and Gibbs is like that Gibb, or sorry, Swift is that Gibbs light, basically a poor man's Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, but could be fruit for form.
yep. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I mean that's the only. So I mean, obviously, just looking at this, Hermes has two studs, and he's got his like a solid backup. But if I was in his position, I would probably want at least one more running back where I'd feel comfortable playing week in and week out. Um, I don't think he has that right now.
No, definitely not.
Um, Receivers. All right, so get some studs here. Definitely looks a little crowded on the formatting here. We're gonna roll with it. His stud here, I'm on Ross St. Brown. I mean, what can you say about him? He's a bona fide blue chipper. Probably be a blue for a few years here. And I'll let you kind of talk on Lad here. Obviously, we both have him as purple here. He flirted with that top 10 even last year, but maybe not in a points per game sense. Yeah, why don't you talk on? I know you obviously we did a live pod, so we
Yeah,
kind of got your reaction already, but how you feeling about it a month later?
good, better. I mean, Keenan going back to the Chargers is interesting because I don't know what happens with Ladd here, and he's obviously going to see reduced target share. I think that they're going to run the ball. I still think that he's top 15 wide receiver long term.
Mhm.
Um, but it's tough. I don't know that he'll ever be that one. Like he's certainly not an Amon-Ra St. Brown kind
Right.
of player.
Yeah, it is weird because I don't know, it feels like they need help on the outside, and Keenan's and Ladd feels like they play the same kind of slot position, and maybe they can make it work. They take turns in the slot versus outside. But yeah, like you said, I still expect Ladd to lead that team in targets, but maybe it's not as many targets as he would have saw just a week ago. But yeah,
Which I
just
mean, honestly, sorry to interrupt.
no, go ahead.
Probably better for Ladd that he's not getting the amount of targets because he had a bunch of like little injuries here and there all last year.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. He can only take so much, especially kind of a smaller body going over the
Yeah.
middle like that.
Yep.
Um, Yeah, and Terry McLaurin's obviously the interesting one here. As you can see, we have him kind of holding in right now. Who knows if he gets traded, if they sign him long term. Always been a steady receiver, but kind of just moved into that elite tier last year on kind of on the back of Jane Daniels. Kind of showed what he could do with a superstar quarterback. But he's already 29. He's already missing a week or two of training camp. Might slow him down a bit. So we both have him as greens, which is I think is a fair assessment. Top 20 receiver. I can't
Yeah.
see him breaking that. I shouldn't say I can't see him breaking that top 10 threshold again. Um, but it also feels like they kind of not ready to move on, but have been kind of just stringing along without him in training camp.
What do you think happens here with Terry? Does he get an extension? Does he get traded?
I think he ultimately gets an extension. I feel like I already saw something where he's like, I don't necessarily. that he doesn't necessarily want the 33 million a year that DK got, but maybe like similar in guarantees and stuff like that. So it seems like he's already kind of coming down a little bit. And I don't know, as much as I was saying, like, yeah, they'll probably move along. Like, you really don't want Washington can't like afford to lose him right now and like
Yeah,
lose a stud receiver when they have Jane Daniels on the rookie deal.
yeah,
So
completely agree with that.
I think they get a deal done in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. And he traded for Terry from you, right? Last offseason?
Yeah, actually Terry and Montgomery. Can't remember if I got like a second and a third or was just deciding between keepers. So yeah, definitely a solid move for him. He got some veterans and they're going to contribute again this season. And then we got Cooper Cup, which I don't know. I can still see him kind of if he looked pretty good last year before he got banged up, but obviously after getting hurt, he never really returned to form. I'm pretty sure the first like 4 or 5 weeks of the season last year, he was doing his thing. But I mean that's kind of been the story with him. He's banged up at this point in his career, and it's hard for him to stay on the field.
Yeah.
Any hope for him in Seattle, you think?
This one could bite us.
Yeah,
This is one where I could see him having a really good year or I could see him having a terrible year. Um, and I don't know that I trust Sam Darnold to deliver with two wide receivers, or even to make it through the full season as the starter. To be honest,
right. Yeah, I'm very interested to see how Sam Darnold does in that offense or without Kevin O'Connell, I guess you could say.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously they propped up Geno Smith and kind of made him look pretty good too. So we'll see. Here's a interesting one. Jordan Addison. I think these are things we probably should have up the stats, but oh, that's a mistake. So
Do you want me
I'm
to
pretty
pull him
sure.
up?
I just feel like Jordan Addison's like top five, like at least top 10 in receiving touchdowns since he entered the league, maybe even higher than that. I could just be talking out of my ass, but it feels like every time the guy's in the field, he's a threat for a touchdown.
He's had
Uh,
some big games. I know that.
yeah,
Let me just get to his stats here quickly. Go ahead and talk about Calvin Ridley.
yeah. I'll just finish the quick thought on Addison. I could see him being if McCarthy is good enough, I can kind of see him being like that T Higgins to Jefferson's Chase. Yeah, I don't know. He's just a stud second receiver, and he's still young. He's only 23, and do you have him up now? The stats here.
What's your guess on how many touchdowns over the last 2 years?
I honestly think he had like 10 his rookie year, maybe eight. I'm gonna go
Hit?
10 and eight. I feel like he has 18
Wow,
already.
close. 19.
Wow, 10 and nine.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think he missed. I think he missed not a handful of games, but definitely missed a few games last year, and picked up like right where he left off, middle
Yeah.
of season. So it's just interesting. I know they kind of just let Sam Darnold sling it. I bet they're a little more careful with McCarthy the start of his career and focus on the run game a little bit more. So maybe the targets come down a little bit, but again, he's only 23 years old. Jefferson's going to get all the attention. And it seems like Addison's kind of a benefactor. And it seems like he's like the perfect second flex player where you kind of just throw him in. I mean, obviously you want like consistent points, but sometimes he's going to give you like that 20, 25 that just wins you the week. Where before, maybe Hermes is like, fuck, do I start him this week? Do I bench him for someone else? Now maybe he's just like that plug and play and he wins you a few more weeks.
Yeah. No, I think with us having the second flex, Jordan Addison is huge.
Yeah.
Even with the, what, 3 game suspension, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah,
Yeah.
good point to mention. He didn't think that was today. 3 game suspension. So yeah, we'll see how he picks up after that.
Where do you feel that Jordan Addison ranks in his wide receivers?
Um, well, like if value wise, or like you're saying if I had to start a team and like which guys am I picking off Hermes team first or just for this year?
Slot his wide receiver. So Amon Ra, definitely number one. I think we
Yeah.
both take Lad as the two. Would you take Addison over Terry, or what are you doing?
Um, yeah, I'm taking in Dynasty, I'm taking Addison over Terry.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. And then yeah, then Terry. Then I'll talk on Calvin Ridley here a little bit. 31 years old. Obviously signed that massive deal last year for Tennessee. It seems like he's grooving with Cam Ward. I mean, obviously everyone's gonna kind of prop up their guys and stuff, but they put their lockers next to each other, him and Cam Ward. I feel like I've seen a few clips of him catching bombs from Ward, so he seems a little rejuvenated after playing with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph for a year and a half. Um, but again, I mean, you can't expect too much. I think he's probably the best wide receiver six in the league, and he's your sixth best receiver. I think that's a pretty good spot to be.
Okay, I think that's fair.
All right. So yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I would put Hermes receivers up there, honestly. Depth wise, with maybe anyone in the league. Last quarterbacks and tight ends, not too big of a page. Wonder if I missed someone here. See if I wrote anyone down. Um, couple of young guys, quarterbacks, Bo Nix and CJ Stroud, both on rookie deals. We were definitely super high on CJ last year. We both had him as purples, which I think was fair. I think um, he looked like a stud his rookie year, and maybe his team kind of slipped up his second year. But
Yep.
we still have him. You still have him as a top 10 quarterback. I still have him with a guy with top 10, young guy, top 10 upside. And then Bo Nix, I guess, has been probably one of the steals of for Hermes' team, grabbing him. I can't imagine he drafted him. I'm assuming he picked him up week one or
No,
two.
no, later than that. Jack, he picked him up like week 9 or 10 because I remember in the group chat, I was like, is nobody going to pick up Bo Nix? And I was sitting there with Kyler Murray debating if I should pull the trigger or not and just stunned that no one would pick him up.
Yeah, because I think he was like consistently doing good, but obviously everyone was still just like skeptical. So I don't know. Hermes was the winner out of it, and it seems like Sean Payton found a guy he really likes for the first time since Breeze or
Yeah.
Taysom. Um, so he just kind of it feels like he's just crafting the offense, drafting guys now around him, and kind of getting them into the perfect spots at all times. So and Bo Nix, he's got some legs on him too. He can get you that 30, 40 yards. That gives you those 3 or 4 extra points, maybe sneaks into the end zone. And um, yeah, I expect Denver to be pretty good this year. And yeah, maybe Bo Nix isn't like going to get you 20 points a week, but if he gets you consistent 15 to 20, that'll keep you in games.
I think that's the perfect way to put it because I don't see either of these guys as like a top five at their position, Knicks or Stroud. But
Yep.
I think they're each going to put up solid numbers every single week for you.
Yeah. And then not much stuff to say about Bowers. I mean, what am I saying? Everything to say about Brock Bowers, but in that sense, how much can you say about his tight end position? I think he's the number one dynasty tight end at this point. Broke a lot of rookie records, and he just looks like he's going to be a stud for years to come. And got a quarterback upgrade with all of it, with Geno Smith coming in.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many
I
how
mean,
many offers you make to Hermes last year?
probably 4 or 5 uh, with like 2 to 3 first round picks and players. It was a
Yeah,
lot.
it's fair. I mean, he looks like he's the real deal, and 22 years old. You expect with a tight end, these guys go to like their early 30s, it feels like.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, good for Hermes. That being said, no picture here, nothing much to say about his picks. I mean, he gave up the first obviously to get Lad, and gave up the first and his early second. Is that right?
Swap of the
Swap of the
second round
seconds.
picks. Yeah.
So his first pick is going to be pick 17 in the draft. So yeah, I think the hope is that maybe he gets like one of those second tier running backs, slips to him, maybe he's got an eye on a wide receiver, but doesn't have to force a receiver.
Yeah.
Might be able to just kind of take a shot at one of these RBs. And then he's got all his picks for next year. So do you see a world where he tries to maybe make a move and like trading the first next year, just kind of slide into the first round?
I don't know how you do it. I mean, it would probably be a trade with someone like you who has a lot of draft capital. I think this probably brings us to our next slide. You're the GM.
Yep.
So I guess let's talk about it. So you're at 107.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the only trade partner that makes sense going into the first round. And I think that you probably get a good running back if you're open to dealing that pick.
Right. Um, yeah, I've had some discussions. with GMs, which I'll save for the next one, if that's a hint. I have discussions with you too about you. I know you want to make a move up, and you've made a pretty good offer. So I don't think Hermes has enough than what you were offering with a pick next year and some later picks. Um, so yeah, who's do you know who's 8, 9, 10 off the top of your head?
Um, I know Rashid is two of them. I think
Yep,
Rashid is 9 and 10. So who does that leave us with?
Ryan or Ruff.
Rough. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Ruff. I mean, if I'm Ruff, maybe he's. I don't know how dialed in he's on the rookies, and I might regret saying this comment. He's gonna be like, I've been dialed in this whole time, but maybe he just looks to trade the pick for a veteran. Maybe that's where he can kind of slide back into the first round as well. Um, Offering up maybe one of the receivers in Montgomery or something to get into that 1.08.
I don't want to get too sidetracked, but that is a bad call. I feel like Ruff hits like every single year on rookies and winds
Yeah,
up getting studs.
he did get he did get Jamar Chase, but only so many years you can hang your hat on a pick.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't think that there's too much that Hermes can honestly do. Um,
Yeah.
and now I guess maybe more than I'm thinking about it, maybe Rashid is at one where a trade could make sense because Rashid's got the two first rounders.
Yep.
And if Rashid gets a first round pick for next year dangled in front of him at like 9 or 10, I mean, I think that that's enough to get a deal done. And there's probably a running back still there like Judkins that he could
Yeah.
pluck.
That's a good point because especially with Rashid's team, like being so deep as well, it doesn't really
Yeah.
necessarily need guys right now. So maybe you kind of just stockpile the assets and use that for a trade later on in the season. Um, I do have maybe a couple mock trades. You tell me yes or no on each
Okay.
side.
Let's hear it.
Um, Terry McLaurin for James Conner. Jill kind of needs a receiver. Hermes needs a running back. Which team says no?
Hermes says no. I feel like I got to get a pick back from Jill in order to get that done.
Yeah, I mean, wide receivers just last a little bit longer. And James Conner, you never know. I mean, obviously he's been killing it year to year, but
Yeah.
at
And
some point the wheels are
Hermes
gonna fall off.
Hermes I feel like isn't that desperate at running back either.
Yeah, especially because he can fill his flex spots with receivers.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, what else you got?
It's not much. It's the same teams. Calvin Ridley for Tyrone Tracy. I think Hermes has to throw in at that point.
Yeah. I that's the grossest trade, mock trade that I've ever heard in my
All
life.
right, let me revise that then. Addison for Tracy.
No, absolutely not.
Now it's a no for Hermes.
Yeah, for Hermes. I that's
Okay.
crazy talk.
You're higher on Scatabo than I think most people, though. I think Tracy's in line for a couple years of work here.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. The guy was like number fifth in the Heisman um pick.
It's,
What are you talking about?
I just don't see it.
You don't see the production that he had last year and he
It's
carried a
definitely
team
something
to the
that, yeah,
college playoffs? What are we doing?
it's not as athletic as some of the other guys that are in the league. But
Okay.
he works hard. I'll give him that. He works hard.
All right.
Um, yeah, I think I mean the only if he gets desperate at running back during the season, like maybe Jacobs or Taylor gets nicked up, I think he has the ammunition receiver wise to kind of entice some of the teams that are a little more receiver needy. But like you said, he doesn't have to force anything right now. Um,
Here's my question for you.
yeah.
Would you still take this roster and the picks over your picks and your roster?
No,
Okay. All right, fair enough.
no. Sadly, not even really that close, I feel like. But
That's tough to do him. After that first slide, that's tough to say.
how close up, how deep in the last season was I saying I would swap rosters with them?
Pretty deep, like week 10.
I mean, things change.
Things do change.
All right, I think that that does it for Hermes. Poor Hermes. Um, was looking to play some pub tonight instead of just gonna talk shit on him, talk on his grave here.
Do me a favor here.
Yep.
Go back to the first slide. Let's have our outro on that first slide. All right, here it is. Alrighty, well, we appreciate you guys listening, hanging on. Let us know what we can do better. I know Andrew told us that we should be telling you to like and subscribe. So,
But
Mogi, we are talking to you if you're still listening. Please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys shortly.
peace.
Peace.